Make right with God. Come and do it now. Under the cross of Jesus, I lay my burden down. It was on that old cross where Jesus shed his blood. Get it right, get it right, get it right.
Listen, how do you know if you are an introverted person or if God has you in a place of isolation? Let me say that again. I said, how would you know if you are just an introverted person or if God has you in a place of isolation? What am I talking about? First off, thank you guys for tuning into another episode of Get Right With God podcast. I am your host, Jamar Grimsley, and I know that you guys can see the title there. It says, how do you know if you are an introvert or if God has you in a place of isolation, right? So what is an introvert? What is an introvert? An introvert is somebody that's shy, right? And they don't care to be around a bunch of people. Like, they prefer not to be around a bunch of people. Like, they don't like the spotlight. They don't like attention. You know, they just enjoy being by themselves, but they can be around other people. They can be around a crowd of people, but they just prefer not to. So the difference between you being in isolation by God or you being an introvert is the preference, right? So you being in isolation by God, right? You don't really get a preference. Like, you don't get to decide, okay, I don't want to do this. I want to travel across the country, or, you know, I want to do these things. Because an introverted person, they can still travel around the world if they want. But you can't do that, child of God. You can't do that if you are in isolation by God, right? God got you there because he needs to work on you. He wants to work on you, child of God. He wants to work on you. He wants to draw you to him, draw you closer to him. And let me tell you how you know you in this place of isolation, right? You're going to become more aware. You're going to begin to get more aware of spiritual things, right? And this is, again, like I did a video. I was just talking about your training process. Like, this is where you are trained at. This is where you get to know God at. This is where you get to grow in God. But again, like the introvert, they prefer, right, to be alone. But you, it's like God will put this thing in you where you'll just be alone, right? And it may bother you in the beginning. This is the thing. It's going to bother you in the beginning because you're probably not used to it, right? You always probably been around a lot of people or have people to always interact with or talk to and things like that, right? But when you're in that isolated place with God, what's going to happen is, because it's training, God is removing distractions. So after a while, all the friends that you have and all the conversations that you used to have on the phone and all the things that everything will just dry. Everything will be dry. You know, after a while, your phone won't be ringing. People don't want to be around you anymore. Like, people will just be rejecting you. And, you know, you'll feel like, like, what's going on? You know, like, that's how you'll feel in the beginning. But that's just how it's going to be, child of God, because you are in a place of isolation, right? Let's just say we in the hospital and, you know, everybody got COVID. I mean, you the only one with COVID, but everybody else don't have it. So they're going to isolate you and put you by yourself in a whole nother room, right? They're going to put you in a whole nother room away from everybody else, right? So you in a whole nother room. God has you in a place of isolation, but you're in the training room. Did you hear me? I said you are in the preparation room. This is the room that God is going to use to clean you up, right? And you guys, also what it does, right? It's like God is taking the things that you would like, those worldly things. You see, you guys, when God has a great calling on your life, right, and he isolates you, that means he wants to work on you and he has to prepare you for what it is that he's prepared for you. Did you catch that? I say he has to prepare you for what it is that he's prepared for you, right? So he got to get all of the worldly things, all your desires and your hungers and your thirst for the things of the world. Like, he got to get all of that out of you. He got to strip you of all of that thing. And in that preparation process, in that place of isolation with God, this is where that's happening at. This is where that's happening at. So all the things that you used to love in the world, and he got to get all of that out of you. He got to get all of that out of you. But it's going to happen in that preparation place, the place when God has you in a place of isolation. And let me share something, right? I remember, you guys, right? Before God put me in isolation, for years, I would always be like, oh man, I wish I could afford that. I wish I could afford that. I wish I could afford them some nice new sneakers, man. I wish I can afford this phone. And I wish I could afford to buy that shirt. And I wish I can afford, I would go to the grocery store and I would have to buy everything store brand. So I wish I wish I was able to afford Coca-Cola versus cola. You see what I'm saying? Versus the store brand, I would like to get the regular one. You see what I'm saying? So for years, I always complained about, man, I wish I had this car, and I wish I had money to buy me some jewelry. Like I just want jewelry. I want to be able. So everything was like, it was like I was cheap, or I had a cheap. Everything was cheap with me, but I desired bigger or greater things. You see what I'm saying? Nicer or bigger things. And there's nothing wrong with desiring nice or bigger things. But when that becomes your focus, it becomes a problem, because God wants to pull every distraction away from you, right? And again, he wants to tear your love for the worldly things away. Like he wants to tear your love for the worldly things away. So me wanting to, I wish I had this, and I wish I could afford that, and I wish I could buy this, and I wish I could get that. That's been like that for years. Oh, these sneakers, man, them some nice sneakers. I wish I could afford them. You know what I'm saying? Like, so after a while, you guys, let me tell you how God is, right? Because this is, all of these years I'm wanting this stuff, and I'm wanting all of these things. And so not long ago, I got a little financial breakthrough. So when I had some money, it was like God popped me upside my head and woke me up. I'm like, I got a pantry full of food, refrigerator full of food. I already got nice clothes. I got a nice TV. I already got 2 cars. My business doing well. And I'm not bragging, but I'm teaching. So all of these things that I was wanting in the world for all of these years, these things that I wanted, all of these things, it's like it was time. God just popped me and woke me up. And it was like, I got this money, but I don't really want anything. Are you hearing me? I don't really want anything. So all of that time, you guys, he was snatching the love of the worldly things around me, and he gave me what I've been asking for all of them years. And I get it. And it's like a wake up call. Like you don't want this stuff, right? You don't need this stuff. You already got enough. You see what I'm saying? Like I got everything I wanted. It's like I already had it, but I would complain. I wish I could get this. You see what I'm saying? So in that place of isolation with me, you guys, that's what he was doing, snatching. But that was part of my process, right? Taking me out of wanting all of these things. And I get the means to get them. And it's like, I look around and I have everything already. You see what I'm saying? So he killed that part of me, that part that wants these worldly things, that part that want things that's gonna expensive things and nice things and things that people will look at and be like, wow, they got money. Oh my God, how could they afford that? You know what I'm saying? Like it was just not an interest in me, right? But God killed that part of me in my place of isolation, right? And another time God will put you in a place of isolation, right? Let's just say you get out of a bad relationship. Like, let's just say you was in a bad relationship and God broke it up, or God separated that relationship. He'll put you by yourself. So now this bad experience that you had, got to put you by yourself. And then another place, he got to heal you. So he got to work on you. Your heart been broken. You've been in a relationship for such a long time. And so God, now he has to put you in a place of isolation, right? He got to, and all of these things, you guys, is just building up a testimony. It's just telling you, you're going to be able to talk about how God put you in isolation and how he worked on you and how he cleaned you up, right? But the biggest thing, you guys, again, is a preference. The preference now. The introvert, they prefer to be around small crowds, or they prefer to be by themselves. But you, because God has called you into something great, and because God takes time to train you in that place, you guys. And sometimes your process will be long, but sometimes it won't be long, right? Everybody's different. It depends on, I guess, what the assignment is that God has for you. Some people been in it for 10 years, still in it. You know what I'm saying? Like, still in it. So everybody's process is different. Some people will come out sooner. I think it also determines, like, are you growing spiritually as well? You see what I'm saying? So it's kind of like, if you feel like that, like I say, you don't get a preference too much. Like, you can't just, an introvert can go across the country if they want to travel. But you, if it's not a part of the plan of God for your life, it's just not going to happen. Right? So your preference, you don't get too much of a preference, right? You can't do too much. You can't go too far off. You can't get too far out of the will of God, right? So he would just stop things. He would block things from happening that's not in his will, right? So even though you prefer, right, to maybe even fit in, like you prefer, maybe I would like to fit in, but I just don't. You see what I'm saying? I would like to, but I don't. So it's like you don't get a preference there, right? Got to make it so you won't fit in, right? But I got a scripture, you guys, right? And so this is the book of Ephesians chapter 1 and verse 11, right? It says, also we have obtained an inheritance, right? Having been predestined has already been written out, right? According to his purpose, not your purpose, not what you want to do, not the plan that you have for your life, but the plan that God has for your life, right? According to his purpose, who works all things after the counsel of his will. He works all things after the counsel of his will. So everything in your life is already mapped out, right? So it's not your will, it's after the counsel of his will, right? So there's a path that God has you on, right? There's a path that God has you on. He know that he's going to bring people into your life for a reason, in a season. He going to remove people. He going to move you here. He going to move you there. He going to move, like, you just go, it's like a journey, child of God. It's like a journey. But while you're in that place of preparation, in that place where God is trying to use and draw you close to him, right? That right there is where you're supposed to learn at. That's where you're supposed to grow at. You see what I'm saying? That's where you're supposed to be able to go deeper in prayer. And you're supposed to be able to begin to hear God. And what's going to happen again, you guys, is you're going to just start to get so spiritually sensitive. You're going to know God is with you. You're going to begin to see how God works in your life. You're going to be able to go through, see certain situations. You're going to be like, I know that was God. I know that was God. So through all of that, it's building your faith. It's strengthening your faith in God. You getting more aware of things around you. Even when bad things happen and something happens and you just so happen to get through it in a way that you just look like you know it was God that did it. Like, it shouldn't have turned out the way that it did. But because of God, it's just like you just begin to get so much more spiritual awareness, right? Even things that when you start battling with the devil and you start going through warfare and you start getting attacks, and you're going to be more sensitive to that stuff, right? But it's all a part of the training. It's all a part of the training, right? It's all a part of the training. And God has you in a place of isolation. It's a place of isolation, you guys, right? So yeah, that's how you'll know. It's mainly about the preference. It's mainly about the preference, right? The person that's the introvert, they prefer not to be around people, but they can be around people. But you, if it ain't in God's plan for you to go to a certain place and live, or be around a certain amount of people, like, it just won't happen. He'll just start blocking things. See, the introvert, they could just go and move how they want. They just have a preference, right? But you, again, you don't get that. Gotta start blocking things, stopping things, hindering things, removing people. Like, he'll just start. God is very active in your life, and you know it. You can tell that God is very involved in your life in every little area. Down to the places you go, down to the food you eat, You see what I'm saying? God is so involved in your life because his plan for your life is great, right? And you're just in that place, child of God. This is a place of training. This is a place of training. You are in a training ground. God is preparing you, right? God is preparing you. And like I said, you guys, after a while, you ain't gonna have no friends. You see, got to remove everything that would distract you, that would keep you distracted, because he'll set it up in a way where you won't have nothing to do but be in the house and reading your Bible. He'll set it up in a way where you have nothing to do but be in the house and pray. Like he'll just set it up in a way where you'll just be forced to just learn it. You see what I'm saying? Like your phone would be dry, you know? Maybe you always talk on the phone, or people will stop calling, you know? You will call people will be, well, I'll call you back, and they won't call back, and you'll try to call them again. Well, I'll call you back, and then you'll try to call them again after they say they'll call you back twice, and they don't answer. You see what I'm saying? So that's all preordained by God, right? It says he's working these things according to the counsel of his will. His will. Not your will, but his will. He got you on a potter's wheel. Oh, yes. He making you and molding you, and he's shaping you into the man of God, into the woman of God that you are supposed to be, right? But again, this is a place of healing. Like I said, you may get out of an abusive relationship, narcissistic relationship, right? So now God will take you away. He got to break soul ties, and he just got to heal you, right? He got to heal you. But in that healing, you still growing spiritually. You see what I'm saying? You're getting more aware of God. When you get out of a narcissistic relationship, right? When God separates you, because it's only God that could wake you up from that. Like, it's like you are under some type of spell, or it's like you just can't even see what's real. Like you see what I'm saying? You don't see what was really happening until you come out. And then you look back and you say, I don't know why I wasn't able to like respond in a different way. Or I don't know why I stayed there so long. I don't know why I was allowing somebody to control me. I don't know why I wasn't talking back up. I don't know why I was being a slave to this. You see what I'm saying? But you don't see it while you're in it. But once you come out, that's why God is working on you. Once you come out, you're going to look back and all of them things going to be so clear. It's like God got to pop you upside your head. Once he pop you upside your head, it's like you wake up out of this dream state and you can see everything clear. That relationship, that toxic relationship you was in, but that helped you to grow, right? But again, you got to heal from it. Probably got some soul ties from that, right? God got to heal you. God got to deliver you from some stuff. God got to set you free from some things. You see what I'm saying? So that place of isolation where God puts the believer is just like a place of preparation. I did a word not long ago. I was talking about how, how God just separates us for a reason. He separates us for a reason. And again, you can't do too much. You can't do too much. He won't even allow you to do but so much. You see what I'm saying? So yeah, that's how you know the difference, child of God. It's like God is so involved in every little area, because you can't do too much, because he can't have you hanging around everybody or going everywhere, because anything that distracts you, it's going to distract you from him, right? He don't want nothing to be able to distract you from him, right? Again, like I said, your phone going to just dry up. People going to reject you. Like, it's like he'll make it in a way where you just be forced to be in the house, and he'll make it in a way where you just be forced to just get in your word. You see what I'm saying? But God knows that he has to do that process till you like the way that he does. He got to, remove every distraction so that you could get on your grind, right? Or get on that thing that God is calling you to do, right? That place of separation, isolation. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, child of God, that's just that's the process. That's the process. You're in a process, a training place, right? So God is just growing you where you are. If this is for you, you'll know this is just a little lesson to just show you a little bit difference and why you may be going through, or why your life may be the way that it is. It's because God is in control of every little area, and you know that God is in your life. Like he's really like a heavy part of every area of your life, right? God is becoming your buddy. Like you be in a grocery store talking to him. in your car talking to him. Just like he's just right there as a friend. You see what I'm saying? Like, that's how your relationship with him is, right? But he got to separate you, move you from some stuff. You see what I'm saying? So that relationship can grow, right? You see what I'm saying? It's like he's just, you talk to him just like he right there, your friend, and you can see him and talk just like that. You around your house like, Lord, what should I do? Like, everything is just you, just God. Everything about you is God. Like, you very interested in the things of God. But all of that's happening, God is drawing you close to him, child of God, right? It's all because of this process that you're in, right? This thing that you're in, this isolated place that God has you in, right? So again, I just wanted to bring some clarification. Somebody may have been wondering, why your life may be going the way that it is. And you may wonder, am I just introverted, or no, is God doing it? Like, it's God that separates. It's God that allows you to be rejected. It's God that puts you by yourself, right? It's not you're introverted, right? It's just that God put this thing in you that you just want to, like, you don't even care to be around a bunch of people. See, even in the world, maybe you was around a bunch of people, or you couldn't do things by yourself. You always had to be. So God puts this thing in us, which after a while, it makes it not even bother us that we alone. It makes it like it helps us to accept what's happening. Like, we just going to accept that, okay, this is just where I am right now. God is doing something in my life. Like, you just accept it versus trying to fight it and trying to still hang out with people. So that all of this, he's just trying to draw you close to him. You see what I'm saying? He's just trying to draw you close to him. So yeah, that's all I wanted to say, you guys. Again, I hope that this little lesson may have helped somehow. So yeah, that's all I wanted to just make the difference between you being introverted or just in a place of isolation with God. Right? He just preparing you, child of God. That's it. This process is something that all of us go through, that God has called. He gonna separate you and work on you. You see what I'm saying? He got to separate you and work on you. If he allowed you to keep all the people, all the friends that you had, all the places you go, all the things that you was doing, it's like you wouldn't give them time because you'll be out doing everything else. You see what I'm saying? So God got to slowly snatch them things away and slowly put you in a place with, you see what I'm saying? So he knows what he's doing, child of God. Just know that if you are in that place, it's just a training ground. You're going to get through it. You may have a lot of warfare. You may have some times where you feel alone, right? You feel alone. You're going to feel alone, but you're never alone. You'll never be alone. You are never alone, even if you feel alone. Remember, you're lonely, but you're never alone because God is always there with you. Right there, child of God. He right there with you. So just know a lot of you guys are in healing process, deliverance. God is he's just setting your life up. He's just setting your life up. So just accept this thing to be what it is and take advantage of the time that he's giving you. Try not to do too much, stay in your word, get in prayer, go deeper in God. You see what I'm saying? You'll begin to hear God in this place of isolation. You see what I'm saying? So it's just training you. So when you go out, child of God, you are 100% ready to go in the field and work. You're ready to go in the field and work, right? But you can't go in the field if your spirit all junked up because of the people you're around, because of the things you've been doing, because all of those things. You see what I'm saying? So it's just God gotta cleanse us up, you guys. You just gotta cleanse us up, get all the love of the worldly things out of you, right? So that you can seek first his kingdom, right? So that you can seek first his kingdom. All right, so that's all I wanted to bring that word, you guys. Just to let you know, if you felt like, if you wasn't sure if it was you, right? If it was you, why don't you want to be around people? Why don't you want to talk on the phone? And why are you not good with, you see what I'm saying? But that's all God taking those things away so that he can have you by himself. You see what I'm saying? So yeah, child of God, it's a blessing. It's a good thing. So don't look at it as something to be sad about or something to be upset about, or it's a blessing. Everybody's not called into that place of isolation where God works on them at. So if you are just, it's a blessing. It's a blessing. Just again, accept it for what it is, right? It's going to soon be over. And once it's over, you're going to be well equipped. But this place you in now, just work on yourself, child of God. Just work on yourself. Let God do what he needs to do. Do not fight anything. Do what you need to do. Get into that word. You hear so that you can hear God clear, right? So that you can hear him clear. Clear. No interruption. No static. Clear. But you got to get in the secret place. You see what I'm saying? You got to get in that word. That's supposed to be your focus. In this place, that's supposed to be your focus, is learning to learning how to know God on a deeper level, right? So again, God got to remove every distraction and put you by yourself. No phone, all of that stuff. He'll do it. He'll do it. But yeah, child of God, that's all I wanted to let you guys know, the difference between being introverted and being called into a place of isolation by God. All right. So just look at it. It's truly a blessing. It's a blessing and an honor for God to choose you, want to use you. You see what I'm saying? Everybody's not chosen. Right. But God chose you. So enjoy that place, child of God. Enjoy that place of isolation. Do all that you can to grow closer in God. All right. You gotta be blessed.
Right with God. Come and do it now. Under the cross of Jesus, I lay my burden down. It was on that old cross